They not only defeated them, but they got back everything that was stolen. They got their wives and children. The scripture says nothing was missing, small or great, son or daughter, or anything else that had been taken. David got everything back. Now, you may be in Ziklag. You've lost some things. It wasn't fair. If you'll get your passion back, start believing again, like David, you're going to get it all back. Nothing is going to be missing. The health is coming back. The business, the children, the joy, it's coming back. God is not going to leave you at a deficit. He's keeping the records. He knows what belongs to you. David not only got all of his possessions back, but his men gathered up what belonged to the Amalekites. They came out with more than what they had before. What's interesting is 3 days later, King Saul was killed in a battle. David was made king. This was 13 years after Samuel had anointed him. It's significant that after David's greatest challenge, he was only 72 hours away from taking the throne. When you're in Ziklag, stay encouraged. You don't know what God is up to. You're not only going to get it all back, but God is about to promote you. Ziklag is a sign that a new level of your destiny is on your way, that you're about to see what God promised you, that you're about to come out of the interim place, out of that place of waiting into your place of destiny. But we all have to go through a few zigzags on the way to our purpose. Difficulties that come out of nowhere, things we don't understand, lost a loved one, fighting depression, people trying to discredit us. You have to remind yourself that Ziklag is a temporary place. Voices will whisper, you'll never get out of this challenge. You'll never recover from this sickness, never have that baby, never meet the right person. Just settle there among the ashes. Just accept it. The reason those lies are coming is the enemy doesn't want you to rise up and leave Ziklag. He doesn't want you to have a recover all mentality. He wants you to have a poor old me mentality. You have to say, no thanks, Ziklag is not my home. This is not how my story ends. I know what God promised, that nothing will be missing, large or small. There was a lady diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It didn't look good. She'd spent most of her childhood in the hospital. She had a sickle cell gene that caused her many problems. Years later, the thought of having to go back to the hospital, deal with this illness, take the treatment was very discouraging. She sunk into a deep depression, didn't want to leave the house, didn't want to get out of bed. Sunday mornings, her husband would turn on our program. She would weep the whole time I was speaking. She said it was like you were just talking right to me. She started believing that God was bigger than the cancer, that her life was not over. For 2 years, as she took the treatment, had surgery, she felt a strength that she had never felt. Today, she's not only cancer-free, she defied the odds, but she doesn't have the sickle cell gene anymore. She told how she used to be so quiet and so reserved, but now she's written a book. She speaks at different events, telling how God helped her overcome. She said, when people see me, they always comment on how I don't look like what I've been through. She's happier and more fulfilled than she's ever been. What am I saying? Ziklag is not your home. It's a temporary place. When you're in Ziklag, you have to remind yourself what God promised, that you're going to recover all, that nothing is going to be missing. May be gone now, but God is not finished. Instead of dwelling on what you lost, what didn't work out, the negative report, you need to switch over to this nothing missing mentality. You may not see how it can happen. God has ways we've never thought of. He's not limited by what limits us. Like this lady, He's going to do something unusual, uncommon, out of the ordinary. Not just restore, but bring you out better than you were before. Now, I believe it's going to happen sooner than you think. There's about to be a shift, a suddenly, out of nowhere. You're on the verge of a breakthrough, a healing, a promotion. You're going to be able to say like this lady, nothing is missing in my life. few years ago, we had a night of hope in Las Vegas. I was able to visit with a gentleman named Steve Wynn. He's built many of the large hotels there, very successful and influential. He's an avid art collector, has masterpieces from all over the world. As he was showing us some of the paintings in his home, he told about a famous Picasso painting that he purchased in 2001. At that time, it was valued at $60 million. It was one of his favorite paintings. He had a friend that really loved it as well. Mr. Wynn agreed to sell it to this friend. The price was $139 million. That's pretty good. The night before the sale, he was showing the painting to some friends. He has an eye disease that affects his peripheral vision. As he was pointing to the painting, he didn't realize he was so close, he poked a hole in it with his elbow. They could all hear the canvas ripping. He turned around and saw a 2-inch tear. That was his zigzag. That sale was off. The other man didn't want it. The painting was now valued at $85 million. That one tear resulted in a $54 million loss. God give us problems like that. Mr. Wynn found what he called an art surgeon, someone that would sew the individual fibers back together. In 2 months, it took 2 months, but you couldn't tell the painting had ever been torn. 6 years later, he sold the painting to the same man for $155 million, 16 million more than before the tear. The painting was worth more after it had been torn. When we've been through disappointments, bad breaks, sometimes it feels like we've been torn. We lost our value, made mistakes, should have been more focused. What I love about God is when He puts you back together, like this painting, you come out more valuable. He knows how to restore in such a way that nobody can tell what you've been through. You're not going to live with a tear, so to speak. What didn't work out is not going to affect the rest of your life. The sickness, the divorce, the loss, the bankruptcy, it doesn't lessen your value. Quit believing those lies that you've been through too much. Don't expect anything good. Don't believe for your dreams. You've been torn. Somebody did you wrong. You've had setbacks. Just stay in zigzag. That is not your destiny. When God gets finished restoring, nothing will be missing. The beauty of our God is even when we make mistakes, we bring the trouble on ourselves. God doesn't say, too bad. I would restore if you'd perform better. I would help you if you were more committed. God is full of mercy. When we get off course, the moment we turn back to Him, He comes running toward us.